Domies and Nemosurgeons, this is Internet Personality Vangelis, and Titans Returns' second wave of deluxes brought a bevy of on-topic Headmaster action. Leading the Autobot side of the charge is Chrome Dome, and... Style... Okay, rewind, I'll get the package open as soon as I finish this B-roll, just... Please don't sulk. Stylor returns, and I wish I could say it was in style, but no, he's Blur's pal Hyperfire, completely and utterly unpainted in his tiny robot form. The red and brown plastic sure look nice, I just wish there was anything to give him some life in this mode. On the bright side, he turns into a fantastic IDW-esque Chrome Dome head with clean paintwork to bring out his visor and faceplate. By the way, if you're not a comic reader, he actually is not a headmaster in IDW. That was a point of worry for a lot of people going into this line. Stylor's also got a fairly large cockpit to hop into, and unfortunately he doesn't really lock into it at all. You just gotta use his arms and legs to mostly wedge him in, and thankfully, I rarely hear him rattling around once it's closed up. And hey, check it out, it's absolutely G1 Chrome Dome's car mode. I love the shape of this vehicle. The colors are totally Chrome Dome, and the red roof is rather distractingly unfinished in its paint application on the edges. Darn. The hubcaps are also unpainted, and there's a rather obvious patch of brown on either side that interrupts the creamy beige along the sculpt. This all seems familiar. Bank that thought, dear viewer. He does roll quite well, and includes a chair gun that can tab securely onto the roof. There's also a 5mm port on either side of the car, perfect for all those side-peggin' mutant chair guns. Like Chrome Domes! Okay, so you know that banked thought? It was the similarity of those unpainted bits to a couple of classic Combiner Wars cars. Well, guess what? Chrome Dome's transformation is hugely based on the old Dead End Wild Rider Streetwise Prowl Breakneck Unit 3 Dust Up Lightspeed Smokescreen Bluestreak design that I quite honestly never got sick of during Combiner Wars, but I know some of you all could have done with a break from that tried and tested conversion scheme. There are several differences, enough to make it clear that this is no retool, just an engineering concept sibling. And at the end of the day, I kind of wish the backpack folded up its wheels a little bit more. But it sure is a solid end tabby transformation, ending in a solid and lovely Titan Master head connection. And this is a gosh darn Chrome Dome. The chest, head, and kneecaps do call back to the IDW Chrome Dome's Shadow Play appearance, but given how much that was calling back to the G1 toy itself, I don't know if I'd call this a straight-up representation so much as going for a similar modernized approach. Either way, I think it looks very nice, with paint apps where it counts, and a fairly solid color layout. Chrome Dome's chair gun is in fact two guns, a chair gun and a smaller gun. He can hold either, but that smaller gun, perhaps it looks familiar to you. Well, hold on to your hat for some weirdness, because Chrome Dome's smaller gun, Titan Master, and upper legs are all Blurs. While the two toys share a similar leg transformation, I don't feel that's sufficient logic for the sharing of parts, so I would really love to hear from some designer someday about how this came to be. I'm guessing all those parts are on the same tooling or something? I don't make toys. I just buy too many. Domie's dome can look left and right because it's a Titan Master neck joint. The ball socket of it means he can also tilt his head lovingly in either direction when regarding his beloved. He can even look up appreciably, and then because of the chin of his faceplate, he can't look down that much unless you like half pop the little guy's head out of the socket. Then he can look down more, and it's kind of convincing. You're just half popping something. There are ball socket connections for his shoulders so they can swing around happily, although stuff will tend to bang into this, and I wish those wheels could have folded inside. As you can see though, he can assume a T-pose, and if you don't just use the ball socket joints, they are also connected to transformation joints, so if you need to do something like this, you can. It looks rather awkward though if you go past like this position. There are mushroom pegged bicep swivels, a single hinge elbow that allows for 90 degrees of bend. The elbow is a little high, makes his upper arms, just his arms in general, look kind of stubby, because when you're bending the elbow, the bend is happening so close to the shoulder. It has that effect where it doesn't feel like as much is happening dynamically, as opposed to if the joint were like down here. He's got a waist joint, some ball socket hips, so he can pull the Jean-Claude Van Damme totally sitting between two trucks kind of thing to impress his beau. He's got some thigh swivels. A little squeaky on this one, truth be told. Single hinge knees, they're just a pin, which means that they can be a little bit loose if you get unlucky. And his lower legs are enormous, but this knee joint is located just low enough that I find I still feel like something's happening when I bend his knees. If this joint was up here, that would have been a major problem. No ankle tilts, unfortunately. The transformation joint lets you point his toes if you want to have him, like, floating. But there's so much hunk and chunk back here, you can't appreciably fake having him, like, stepping forward with a flat foot, because this is all in the way. All that does mean that he stands super darn solid, though. And, Domi here has got just about enough posability for me to be happy. Like, I don't really find myself wishing he could do more, but I certainly wish that the placement of the elbows was just a touch lower. This guy ended up being my favorite deluxe of Wave 2 by a hair, as while he took the fewest risks, he also delivered the most solid end result. He looks great in car mode, adequate in robot mode, and features a really strong comic callback head sculpt. Stylor is criminally underpainted, and the toy will make an enemy of anybody who got sick of the good old Dead End Wild Rider Streetwise Prowl Breakneck Unit 3 Dust Up Lightsteed Smokescreen Bluestreak design from Combiner Wars, but I think he makes a solid entry in Titans Return's representation of the primary 7 headmasters. Also, while the two aren't comic accurate beyond their faces and a few small details, it's lovely to see the Rewind Chrome Dome pairing realized in mainline Transformers plastic, in the same line and within one wave of one another. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelis, and if you're desperate for a more toy-centric Chrome Dome, then never fear. It does exist. It can be found.